Okay, alright. How do you guys like this new lighting scenario? This idea actually came about because I was too lazy to move this thing over there like any other video, and I just want to shoot with daylight coming from my window, so I left everything here to kind of dress the background, and then I just turned on the light and I'm like, well, this is nice. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the video. Last week I dropped a video detailing if you should drop out of school or drop out of your full-time job to pursue your passion full-time, and there was a whole checklist of things you should ask yourself before you even make that jump. Know that I am highly aware that that video wasn't for everybody. I just wanted that video to fall in the right ears for people who are considering that. This particular video is for the other side of the room that just wants to start a side project or maintain one and not necessarily drop everything to go do it full time. Side projects and side gigs are such a fun and great way to test out a new creative idea that you have while still maintaining a peace of mind that, like, hey, I don't have to drop that much to go and do it. It should be a fun thing that is great for exploration and experimentation, and a thing that you could talk about with your friends. The obvious difficulty of having one, however, is the fact that you're already a full-time worker or a full-time student, and you have to make even more time to start one or even maintain it. This is going to be a new first for this channel because I'm tapping into one of my friends. His name is Harry, a super talented musician, and the reason why I asked him to help me on this video is because he's been maintaining his music thing since late high school, throughout college, and even now as a full-time software engineer. I just want to provide a different perspective that doesn't involve camera work, but is still in the creative field. I've personally been noticing that Harry has been absolutely killing it lately. He's been producing so much content on his Instagram, so please follow him at HFL Music. I'll put the tag like right here or somewhere. My hope is that in future videos I can continue to bring other people on to provide more tips and other perspectives for you guys in your creative venture. And without further ado, Harry and I will provide you guys some advice on how you guys can start or maintain a side project while maintaining your full-time career.
Hey, my name's Harry, and I am a singer-songwriter here in the Bay Area, and I also work at a tech company here in the Bay Area, so I work full-time currently. Big shout out to Chris Chu for inviting me to be on this video. I really appreciate it, especially because this is something that I'm personally very passionate about. My number one tip and first example would be to push yourself in those key moments. And you'll know a key moment when you get to one. It's gonna look different for you than it did for me. Well, I'm gonna rewind a couple years and go back to when I was still in college. So I actually started singing and songwriting around late high school. So it was something that I knew I wanted to do as I went into college, but I didn't know what my schedule was gonna look like. For me, it looked like at the end of the day, I would have a jam-packed day from 8 a.m. all the way to 11 p.m. At the end of the day, I would, instead of maybe hang out with my friends for 2 hours or playing video games or eating, going out to eat or something like that. Sacrificing one of those moments to really lock myself in my room, say, I want to write a song and I want to pursue my passion a little more. And honing in on that key moment, those little snippets during the day, whether it's coming back for a lunch break and working on a little bit of your art while you're eating lunch, whether it's in the morning before anyone else wakes up, you motivate yourself just to get up that little bit earlier, 30 minutes, 45, an hour, or whether it's at the end of the day, when you feel like you might want to hang out with other people or go to sleep, but you push yourself to pursue your passion. If I go through my iPhone today and look through my voice memos, I can guarantee you that most of my songs that I wrote in college are going to be between the hours of 12 a.m. and 4 a.m. because those were just those key moments that I honed into that maybe I didn't have during the day, and maybe it took sacrificing something, but it really paid off in the end, and I had things that I loved creating that I had in my portfolio. So that's my number one tip.
A piece of advice that I can give that is obvious to some but maybe not to all is create a system. A set of rules for you to follow so that you can focus more on the side project instead of getting distracted after a day's work. When you have a full-time job, it might be easier to create the system because you have set time boundaries of when you work and when you don't work. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. For a full-time college student, it's a little harder because when you have class doesn't just stop after the bell ring. You have to do homework and you have to study, along with your other things that you have to do. When I was in college, I started a clothing brand. A couple rules that I set for myself is no more Netflix, and I can only watch 3 YouTube videos a day, and I had to put in an hour of designing and business planning each and every day. But fortunately for me, I had a roommate who was an animations major, and he was working on his own side thing. He was writing and animating a short story. So when he and I talked about our projects, we brought out this big old blank whiteboard. We drew out the calendar, And each day that we put an hour into our work, we put our initials on it. This was a system we created to keep each other accountable. And let me tell you, he was on it. Every time I came back from class, I would see his initials already on the day, completed, and he would still be working at his desk. So after I worked on my assignments and studied, well, kind of, I would start getting to work on the design, the business plan, and I would look up YouTube tutorials if I didn't know how to do something. An extra added system that he put for himself was that every time he drew out a draft of a panel or a page of his comic, he would put it on his wall and show himself that he was getting one thing done at a time. It was remarkable because it was kind of like a self-encouraging thing that like, each day he was getting a bit of it done. And before we knew it, he finished the story and I launched my clothing brand, and we couldn't have done it had we not had that system for each other. And a cool thing about a side project is that even if it fails, this whole infrastructure that you built can be applied to many other jobs in your life. That in itself is a skill that you develop, so focus on that.
Number 3, be bold. For me, writing songs is something that I can do. I can set a goal for myself to write X amount of songs, use certain topics, use certain chord progressions, things like that. What really pushes me is sharing that material with others, performing it live for the first time ever. I think it's the most intimate thing as an artist to create and then actually share that with other people that might not understand what you've created, because there's that element of fear of what are they going to say? They're gonna like it, they're gonna love it, they're gonna hate it, they're gonna share it with their friends. There's always that potential for you to not be accepted like you want to. Being bold for me meant when I write my original songs, when I have goals to write songs, I take that out and I go to open mics. I send snippets to my friends. I run ideas by other people, all while bearing my soul, because something that I've created is now in the wild for others to interpret. Being bold might not look like sharing your art with others. It might look like actually just looking at a tutorial on YouTube and drawing for the first time. It might look like buying a new camera and shooting and going out and asking other people for help and tips. What I want to convey is keep pushing yourself to another step that you haven't been before. Don't get comfortable with your art. Another shout out to Chris. Thank you for inviting me to talk on this topic. Big shout out to him. Please follow him. He's creating such quality content, and the amount that he blew up in such little time is a testament to the quality that you can achieve, and hopefully that was helpful. All right.
I think the last thing that I can provide is that you should be having fun while doing this. I think it's really easy that after learning all these tips and seeing all these productivity YouTubers online, to be very militaristic towards yourself, that you have to be perfect and that you have to be on it 24/7. Let me remind you that nobody on the planet, even the most successful people, can stick to a habit or a routine all the time. We all lose motivation sometimes. We all fall out of a habit. Whether you want to start a podcast or learn a new instrument, have fun while doing it. In fact, I feel like the process of doing it is more important than achieving the goal. The goal gives you direction, absolutely. But I feel like the process is more important. You can spice it up however way you want. You can give yourself a weekend to go on a little artistic retreat. You could designate a specific hoodie that you would only wear if you're working on the side project. Or you can be crazy and put on like wet socks while you're working so that you're like adding that level of discomfort, but excitement, if you're into that. If you're not having fun anymore and you're dreading the next day that you have to practice it, maybe it's time to take a step back, and that's okay. And that's progress, because now you know that this particular side project or this process is just not for you. You are really chipping away at the block and learning a new skill by doing that. Failure is part of the process, yo. And don't be so hard on yourself. But don't be so easy on yourself either, okay? A YouTube channel that I can highly recommend regarding productivity is Matt Diavella. I'll be linking his channel somewhere all around these corners. And remember that by watching all these productivity things, it doesn't matter if you're not going to apply it. So you gotta do it. That's all I have for you guys in this video. Hopefully it was informative enough for you. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and leave a comment down below of what kind of side project you would want to start. Don't forget to follow my friend Harry if you want to keep up with his music progress. And as always, I will see you guys and girls in the next video. Peace! When I was in college, I started working. So when he and I talked about our own projects, we brought out this, Side projects and side gigs are such a fun and great way to try out a new creative idea with such low risk involved. This is what happens when I have a line in my head that I want to say, and when I'm saying it is just mental fart, and then I just make it a comedy skit.